the Freedom and Faith Ministries podcast. I'm Felicia, and I'm so glad you're here. Each week, our hope is that today's message will build your faith in Jesus Christ, our Savior, encourage you and your family to live a blessed life, and offer wisdom for your stewardship of finances as you build wealth in your home. Now it's time to join Pastor Jordan Smith. Let us come with open ears and a receiving heart for this week's message.
Hi again, and welcome back. Welcome back to Freedom and Faith Ministries. I am Pastor Jordan Smith of Freedom and Faith. Listen, as we continued for the past few sessions of our messages, we have been in the book of Exodus, and it's been a little bit of a journey. And it's been more of a mix of preaching and teaching that I've been doing. But the whole ordeal is I want to get the message out to you about the positions that God allows you to enter or go through in life that are moving you to his position or place of faith. And that's the main subject. All of this that I have been showing you from the children of Israel leaving the hand of Pharaoh, even being in the things that they have been encamped in with being under Pharaoh, their mentality, and their struggles, even to the Red Sea and crossing the Red Sea and now being in the desert place, in the wilderness as it's addressed. God's whole ambition with the children of Israel is to work out the ways of Pharaoh in their life and to bring them into the condition of trusting him. Faith and trust are hand in hand because they share the same definition. And it all comes down to how you feel the advantage of life is and whose hands that leads you into a specific place that not only does the betterment for your life, but improves all of the situations and things that are around you. Many of us struggle with leaving the position of the world or turning our life over fully to God. Let's just put it like that. Let's just say turning our life over fully to God. The reason that many of us wrestle with turning over our life fully to God is because, for one thing, it's not something that God is not something that we can particularly see or come to like we can, like you can make an appointment and go to the doctor's office. You can call a doctor, schedule an appointment, and go in there and tell them about all of your physical issues. And then when you talk to the doctor about all of your physical issues, the doctor can give you a report and tell you what's best to work out whatever issues you have, or if you got a clean bill of health. That's a simple format. And that's the condition that many of us live in our life on a daily basis. We always have someone that we can speak to or talk to that can answer any questions when we don't have direction or feel lost. We have family, we have friends, we have parents. Some of us have parents. Some of us have real close friends or siblings that we can talk to. We normally have something or someone that we can speak to that is in our presence that gives us the comfort and the stability of them being there, even if it's just on a phone call. Sometimes just hearing the other voice of a person when you're struggling with situations or having situations, it gives us a certain confidence. And especially if we talk to somebody that gives us some sound communication that really helps us out, helps us make some good decisions in life. And when we see that we come around someone that helps us make good decisions in life, we kind of lean our judgment towards them to be someone that's favorable to help us in situations and can give us some insight. Well, for many of us with God, it becomes an unclarity for us because it's hard to distinguish his voice, because it's not like God comes out of a cloud and parts the cloud and comes down and smiles on you and say, "Yes, my child, let me answer this problem you have and give you some insight." It's not that simple. And so for us who live a life, many people can find that hard. They know that God is there. They understand that there is a God. But when it comes down to the face to face, that's where many people have the difficulty, because they're uncertain if it's really God talking to them, or if they're really hearing from God. Or some people don't even trust if they're in the position. I hear people say it all the time. God don't talk to me. So I need somebody to talk to God for me. So they'll come and say, "Hey, can you pray for me? Or can you talk to God about this for me?" Because they feel like you have a closer connection with God than they do, because they feel like God is not speaking to them. God speaks to you. And because God is speaking to you, they'll put more confidence in you. And in their confidence in you, that's where they feel like they'll get their information from that seems befitting for their life to help them out. Here, as we've dealt with Israel, we find that they're listening to Moses, they're trying to listen to Aaron, but the circumstances that they're put in challenge the very thoughts of them that if this is a good thing or not. As God is sending them through the wilderness, God is actually breaking them down to nothing. And God, again, to everything that God does is strategic. It's planned before God, but God does not necessarily let you understand uh every position of his plan, but he will give you insight in the midst of what your trial is, to show you the way or give you direction through it. And so as God was leading them, not understanding that in God leading them, he's also protecting them. A lot of times we can go through things in life, and because of the direction that we're going through that thing in life, we think it's unfair. But because we don't see what's actually going on, we think God is withholding back from us, or God is detaining us, or God is hurting us because he won't let us go in the direction that we're going in. And that's not necessarily so. You have to realize that when God does something, to everything that God does in his strategic plan, it's for the best of our life. Just like us as parents. And I can talk about that. I have 3 sons that are raised, me and my wife. Um, my children got upset at us several times. Several times they have been mad, especially during their teenage years, because those teenagers. Those teenagers, they know more than everybody in the world. Starting from the age about 12 to the age about 22, 25, 12 to 25, these people have reinvented life in their eyesight. In their eyesight, everybody in the world is wrong and don't understand nothing, and they have all the answers to everything. And don't nobody let them do nobody. Wait, don't nobody let them do nothing. Don't nobody want them to be great. Don't nobody want them to go ahead and just pursue their dreams. They swear that everything is against them at this age. And we've all been at that age. But that's where parenting becomes very strategic for us who are parenting children at that age or teenagers at that age. It becomes very strategic for us. Why? Because not only are we trying to guide them and direct them and keep them from the harmful things in life, but we're also trying to guide them and correct them so that they will understand or see that the direction that you're taking them is going to be so helpful for them that they don't have to go through all the cuts and the bruises and the scratches and the scrapes and the pitfalls that we've already been through. We're trying to help them make life easier for them. But they don't see it in that form or fashion. They don't see it in that manner. They look at it as because it's not how they see it. It's not how they want it to be. It's not how they envisioned it. That the teenagers and the young adults at that age, they're almost destructive. Why? Because they don't have the maturity. Please hear me. Hear what the Lord is saying. They don't have the maturity to understand the direction you're taking them, not realizing that you have walked in these same shoes. Not only have you walked in the shoes, but you have laced them up, tied them up tight around your foot and your ankle. And you have walked in all the terrain that they're about to go through. And you're about to say to them, don't put your feet where I just placed mine or where I've put mine before or where your grandparents have put. Don't step there. You're telling them that. But they cannot see that because they are influenced. They are influenced by their own directive, by their own thoughts, and by their own motives. And so even though you're speaking to them, they're really not listening or hearing you because they have directions of their own thoughts of the way they think it should be for their life. Same thing with us when it comes to God. God has already preordained for us to have a way in his purpose. And he has already given us a path to take. But many of us do not veer or walk on that path because we become distracted or detoured by the visions of the things that we believe are more helpful for us than the ways of God. And so when God is actually speaking to us, it's difficult for us to hear him because we have already envisioned things the way we choose to see them. And so when God is trying to talk to us, because we have already isolated him by hearing the way we see things, it becomes difficult to know his voice. And so God has to begin to tear down the things in us according to our will and plan so that we can be broken down to know only and hear only very clearly his voice. So what does God do? God begins to remove things. God begins to remove things that you listen to. God begins to remove people. God begins to remove stuff. God begins to remove items, idolatries, the things that we look up to, the things that we look into, the very things that we believe are taking us to a specific direction or place. Do you know God even does this in the church? You know, it's more people that have faith in the pastor than they do in God. People will run out in the ministry talking about my pastor said before they even looked in the Bible or know if he was even right or not according to the scripture. People put more faith. Why? Because it's in the tangible things that they see because they can touch, because they feel like, because it's in their, within their atmosphere or their arranged place of understanding, that that's exactly what it is and what it needs to be. And God has to tear all of these things down just for you to get to know him, so that he can put you in the right position, the right place, and put you on the right track. So everything that God does, he does it strategically, not to hurt you, but to help you get to the place. Because watch this, when you walk in purpose, you walk in the blessing. When you walk in the blessing, life is made easier. God does not want to, listen, God is not out to hurt people. That is one of the most misconceptions about our Father than anything else. But yet, watch this. His definition is love. The short, you have two short scriptures. God is love and Jesus wept. There is literally, God is love. The definition of God is love. But yet to everything tragic, he's always put the blame. The blame has always been put on him for everything tragic. Somebody died, God let him die. Somebody get in some financial trouble, God let me be broke. As if you didn't make bad decisions, God let us be poor. The world is the way it is because God chose to make the world. And watch this. And the enemy who's doing all of these things, steal, kill, and destroy. The definition is under him. He steals, he kills, and he destroys. The definition is under the enemy's name. It is under the devil's, it is his definition. The devil's definition is steal, kill, and destroy. But yet everything that happens bad, God gets the blame for it. You see how we think about him? We think about him in that manner because we don't know him. And yet God proves himself all the time to try to get to know you. I want my people to, he sent his only begotten son because he loved us. He loved us enough to sacrifice his son, just so we could get to know him. But yet we blame him for everything tragic in life. And he's not even the destructive one. He wants to build. He wants to bless. He wants to secure, give safety to. Listen, God's way is a way that if you would learn to trust him, watch this. The scripture says, if you're willing and obedient, I'll give you the good of the land. God's way is just to get you to a place of willingness and obedience that he gives you the good of the land. Watch this. How do you treat your children when they live their life in obedience and goodness? What would you not do for your children? I want you to think about that. I want that to consume your thoughts. Because if you're not a parent, at some point you may be a parent, or you may have nephews, nieces, something like that. But don't you reward the children that do good? That when you ask them to do something, they don't scoff at you. Or when you come and find them, they laying down and ignoring you and don't want to hear nothing you got to say. Or every time you say something to them, they got a mouth off at you. Or you don't reward children like that. Matter of fact, the children like that, you kind of leave them to, if you're not giving them a place of being disobedient, you kind of put them in a punishing place. Did you hear that? When they're disobedient, you kind of put them in a punishing place. Well, God's punishing place for us when we are disobedient is lead us is to let us live our life unto the hand of the enemy. If you want to blame God for something tragic, blame him for leaving us unto the hand of the enemy for being disobedient. Well, I was disobedient and God left me to the hand of the enemy, and all he did was steal, kill, and destroy. If you want to blame God for something, blame him for that. Yeah, yes, he did. Yes, he left his disobedient children unto the hand of the enemy. But is that God's fault? Is that God that should take the blame for that? Because you choose to be disobedient? I don't think that's God's, that's you with that choice. But for children who live their life pleasing to their parents, if you ask them to do something, they get up and okay, not a problem. Okay, dad. Okay, mom. All right, what is it you need? Or you leave them a list of chores and they follow their chores, and then don't you reward them? Don't you do that? Don't you go out of your way for them? You put them in a position because of their obedience and their willingness to be obedient. You put them in a position to have the good of the home. You buy them gifts on their birthdays and Christmas, and if you celebrate those things, you do the things for them. Their graduations, when they come home with good report cards, you give them money or gifts or things like that. You reward their due diligence. So when God treats us in that manner, because we're willing and obedient to follow him, we're willing and obedient to listen to him, and God rewards us, we call it blessings, or living in a blessed life, or being of the favor of God. When God rewards us for that, doesn't it feel good? Doesn't it put you in a place of understanding? Doesn't it put you also in a mindset or a heart that when you are doing this, and you're not doing it for the things, watch this, a true, willing, and obedient child, they're not doing it for the gifts. They're doing it out of honor. And so when you honor God with the willingness and obedience to follow his way, he blesses you. That's what I want to bring out today about the children of Israel. They were going through a particular scenario in their life of not knowing God. But in this, even after seeing the many things that God had done, God was trying to work in them and work out of them the ways of Pharaoh, because all they knew was about being treated harshly and hard work. Treated harshly and hard work. Don't that sound like life? Don't that sound like us? We work hard and we still get treated harshly. Huh? You working out there every day on your job, going to do this and that, and it seems like you just can't get a break. It seems like you just can't. Everything like everything is just falling over. The more you try, the more things are just at disarray in your life. The more you want to try to do something right or do something that's going to be good, and it just turns out wrong, or somebody manipulates you. You go and you trust in somebody thinking they're going to help you get to a certain situation or make things better for you, and come to find out they may take something from you that left you in a worse position than think that. All of those things are manifesting because God is trying to work in you. Don't put your trust in no man. Learn to trust me. Learn to let me really be your God. And watch this, watch this. I'm saying it in the lamest term, let me be your God. But truly, he wants to be your father. He wants you to come unto him submissive as his children. And so all the directions that God takes you, the directions that he's taking you in is to lead you to a place to whereas he can bring you to the promise. The place that he's been calling you to get into that would make life easier for you. And so if you find yourself going through struggles, this is what I really want you to hear. If you find yourself going through struggles, if you find yourself where life is disarrayed, if you find yourself where everything seems to be chaotic, God wants you to pick up the pieces and bring order into your life. Pick up the pieces and bring order into your life. God's promise is lying underneath all of the pieces that are scattered around in your life. And once you begin to pick up the pieces, you can begin to bring order into your life. Because then you can truly see, one, the ground that you're on or that you're standing on once you pick up the pieces. Then you can begin to organize the things that are in your life. And you can look at the things that are chaotic, and you can look at the things that are fruitful for you. And you can begin to separate those things in your life, which will bring order. And watch this. And once you picked up the pieces and organized them or got order into your life, then you can hear instructions. God wants you to pick up the pieces to bring order in your life. Once you bring the order in your life, then God can bring instruction. And once God brings instruction, then he will teach you how to build things or put things together in your life that will lead you to the place of promise. It's hard to hear God's voice when everything in your life is unorganized. It's disarrayed. It's out of order. When your life is chaotic, it's hard to hear God. And you're just trying to look at all of the things that are scattered around in your life and just gather them. But it's hard to gather things without having instruction. It's hard to gather the things without having instruction because once you've gathered them, you still don't know what to do with them. Listen, let me tell you this story so you'll see where I'm at. And I'm gonna break this down all into the 16th chapter. And we're still talking about the manna. I haven't gotten into the quail yet, but I want to still deal with this manna because God had to give them instruction about picking up the manna because once they picked up the manna, they still didn't know what to do with it because they didn't know what it was. It was all over. They had no definition of what it was. So God had to instruct them even after picking it up about how to care for the things that once they were gathered and put into a specific manner. And then after it was put into a specific manner, then they were able to prepare it and cook it and then eat it. God always wants us to put things in our life in decency and in order because that's how God operates. God operates in decency and in order. The enemy operates in chaos, everything being scattered and disarrayed. Your life feels like it's broken in many pieces and you don't know where to put the pieces together. Let me tell you this. I was I worked for a man. He's no longer here in this earth suit anymore. But he was one of the most prominent men that I've ever met in my life. If you ever want to know black excellence, it was this man. His name was Dr. Herbert C. Harris. He was a dentist known in the south side of Chicago. Um, this man, Dr. Harris, knew me all my life. For one, because my mother was not only his dental assistant, but my mother also was his manager for every property that he owned, even the dentist office. My mother was second in command. It was Dr. Harris, and then there was my mother. She ran Dr. Harris' medical office. Everything and anything that had to happen had to come through my mother, and then it went to Dr. Harris' desk. But this man have known me all of my life, and I truly got to know him once I got older. Um, and yeah, Dr. Harris, man, he worked on celebrities. My mother knew countless celebrities and things like that. Due to the dental work, you know, a lot of celebrities they have to get their teeth and think those who are in entertainment, singing and things like yeah, the uh, a lot of them. Tyrone Davis. We can go down the list of celebrities that he has worked on, along with everybody in the community. He was very known in his community, well respected along among doctors, not just in the dentist industry, but he was a well respected man, and I knew him, uh, and he knew me, and he was very fruitful with trying to bring wisdom into me and my other brother Orlando's life. Even though he knew my other brothers and things like that, and knew my dad, he was good friends with my dad as well. Uh, but listen at this. So I worked for Dr. Harris when I was 14 years old. I cleaned up the on Saturdays and Fridays and Saturdays. I worked at the medical center, the dentist office, and it was a medical center, and I was a janitor. And you know, I cleaned up the bathrooms and things like that, mopped floors and vacuumed. I did all of the janitorial work at that time. And Dr. Harris in Chicago, you know, in Chicago we back then this is 88 maybe, yeah, 80 88. This is back in the day, so most of us when we got things, if it was nice, we got it from Sears Roebuck. You know, you order things out of the Sears catalog, and this was the time where we had the big screen TVs that sat on the floor, and if you had like a 25-inch floor screen, you know, that sat on the floor model TV and things like that. So this was transitioning into the time that we started putting TVs on entertainment centers. You know, this was a time when you brought, I think the biggest TV that you could get at that time was around a 35-inch TV or something like that. These were the ones that sat on entertainment centers. So Dr. Harris had ordered him a television that he was getting in, and he ordered a nice entertainment center. And so that Saturday, Dr. Harris, no, that Friday, Dr. Harris, he said, Jadon, you ever put together a entertainment center, uh, you know, for TVs and things like that? He said, because if you want to, you can come to my house tonight. I brought one, it's ordered, and I can't put that thing together. But he said, I'll pay you $30, you know, to put it together. Now, me being 14 years old, $30 in the 80s, that was a nice little piece of change to make, you know, for about an hour or two to go do it. Now, mind you, I had never put together an entertainment center, but I said, yeah, sure, you know, because I wanted the money. And so Dr. Harris, that night, he took me to his house. Now, mind you, Dr. Harris was very wealthy. So his house was at this time he had a quad level house in Chicago. So for anybody who knows, in Chicago, Yeah, he had a nice home, and this is a quad level house. These It's like everything is connected with stairs. It's not like you just go all the way upstairs or go all the way downstairs in the basement. It's like your house is this open concept, but you just go up to the different floors or not. If anybody ever watched the TV show The Brady Bunch, Dr. Harris' house would at that time would kind of resemble how the Brady Bunch's house was with the stairs and how everything felt connected, a whole TV show. Um, so I go downstairs to the lower level to uh get the book, the entertainment. And I saw the box, and the box was huge. It was laying across the floor. It was a big entertainment center. And I looked at it and I went on, and Dr. Harris went upstairs. Now, mind you, Dr. Harris, I've never seen him in no other clothes in life besides dress pants and a suit jacket and a dress shirt. I don't even think Dr. Harris owned a pair of blue jeans. If he did, I never seen him in it, or a t-shirt. But he went to change his clothes and he came down in his, his home clothes, and even his home clothes was nice. So he come downstairs, and so I've opened up the box, and I just got the box open, and I'm looking at this because I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to pull this one off? I've never done this, and I'm looking for the instructions. The instructions are in the bottom of the box, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, I have no clue. All I'm looking is a bunch of screws, a bunch of nails, a bunch of wood pegs, and a bunch of shelves, and I don't know anything, and just a picture. So I have all the ingredients to create this entertainment center. The directions are at the bottom of the box, which I don't see yet, but all I have is the fact of, I know I want to get paid for doing this. I know I want to do this right. But the instruction and how I've never done this before is bringing more fear to me than anything, because I don't want to mess up I can't afford this. I already know he paid a nice penny for this entertainment center. And so as I got down on my knees to kind of go through the stuff, I'm sitting there. And Dr. Harris is sitting on his couch, and he looks over at me. He said, Jadon, uh, have you ever done this before? And so I turned to him and I kind of said, I'm sorry, Doc. No, I never done this. And I said, and it's kind of hard. He said, nonsense. I said, nonsense. I said, Doc, are you looking at this? I don't know how to do this. Stuff is everywhere. I don't know how to do this. He said, nonsense. He said, listen, you have to take everything, gather the pieces, and put them in order. Once you've gathered the pieces and put them in order, following instructions become easy. And I looked at him and he said, yeah, take all the pieces that look alike, put them in their places. So I took the nails, and I put all the nails in their places, and the screws in their places, and the pegs in their places. Then I took all the boards, and as I'm going through the stuff and organizing, I'm starting to see that there are matching pieces. And so they've got letters, the little sticky tabs on them, but I'm taking the pieces that look the same and I'm putting them in this place, and I'm taking the other pieces, the larger pieces, and I'm putting them in. And I got stuff spread it all over the place, but it's organized. And when the things became organized, once I gathered the pieces, I found the directions. Because once I moved all of the things that were sitting on top of the instructions, once I got the instructions, I was in position, and now things started to look a little more easier, which was building my confidence, because now I can begin to see the pieces that were going to make the picture on the box become complete. But if I never had him say to me, pick up the pieces and organize your life or organize the things. This is what Doc was saying. Pick up the pieces and organize the things that right now look complicated. Once you organize them, things won't seem so complicated because you can begin to see where every piece goes. Now, even though you may not know directly where to put them, but you can see now how things should be eventually when you get to that particular item. And so once I gathered the instructions, when I opened up the booklet, I could see all of the pieces that they were saying instead of me trying to go through and trying to sort through all the arrangement of stuff and trying to find them. And he was stopping me from giving up before I'd even started. He was telling me how to put things in their right perspective so I can get a clearer view. And once I got a clearer view of things, then that would encourage me enough to say, okay, I can do this. I'm saying to you, even in this message about picking up the pieces, you need to take a moment, because that's what it took for me. It took a moment. It took a moment for me to just take everything that was stacked on top of each other and put all to me. When I opened that box, everything was just on top of each other. I didn't know where nothing was. I didn't know what was all in the box. I just knew at that time when I saw it in its condition and the way it was complicated. Many of us, that's how we look at life, because we have not found order by taking the time and putting things where they need to be in their right perspective. Listen, let me tell you something. Put your job in its right perspective. Put your children in their right perspective. Put your husband or wife in its right perspective. Put God in its right perspective. Put your finances in its right perspective. Put your desires in their right perspective. Put your time in its right perspective. Organize. Pick up all of the things in your life that have you so distressed right now, that have you so stressed out that you don't know where to gather anything. Just take the pieces in your life and begin to put them in their rightful place. Then once you have put them in your rightful place, God, then give me instruction how to deal with my wife or my husband, how to deal with my children, how to deal with my job, how to deal with my finance, how to deal with my life, how to deal with me, because now I can see things and put them in their rightful place. Because also in that, while you're doing that, you're going to find the pieces that you don't need. You're going to see the things that are in your life that are causing you problems. But you can't tell that when everything in your life is disorganized. You can't tell that until you gather or pick up all the pieces and put them in order. God is telling you, because he's trying to work out the things in your life that you have gathered or put on your life from being in the position of where you were, but you never took the time to organize. You never took the time to bring order. God is a God of decency and order. And the reason you cannot hear God is because your life is in such a disarray. It's all over the place. You don't even have time for yourself. I know I'm right about it. You don't even have time for yourself. Listen. You know why older people can give you better advice than younger people can give you advice? Because older people eventually get time. They get time to sit and think. And if you watch older people, watch this. If you watch older people have a system. They have a schedule. Older people have a schedule in life. They wake up at a certain time. They eat at a certain time. If they got a favorite TV show or something, they already, and they mapping out their life already. They know if they got clothes to handle or wash or something. If they got to prepare this for if they going somewhere with some older people organize their life. because they found that when you bring order or organization to your life, life is made easier. But when you running around and you got this over here and I should have did that and I ain't got time for this and maybe I need to do that and you're doing this, but then you got to put this down and go get this and then and by the time by the time you finish with the day, only thing you can do is just lay your head on the pillow. And you can't really go to sleep because your mind is winding so much from all of the things that you have because there's no organization that it's even hard for you to sleep at night. Because you're trying to put everything in its perspective and you can't because things are all over the place. And then don't let something come in your life that adds on to it. You're done. You're done. And the reason that is because you have not gathered things and put them in their right perspective. Well, I don't have time. Make time. Listen, you can make time for everything in life that you want to. And sometimes the best time you need to make in life is time for yourself. Time for yourself to put things in their right perspective and order. And I know some of y'all ain't gonna think I preach because I ain't been to the word yet. I'm about to get to the word. Because I'm about to show you, because the reason that they were complaining is because they could not see provision. They could not see anything because the position or the place that they were at, they could see nothing. And let's listen, the reason they can't see, listen, same with you. Everything is everywhere, and because it's nothing within your eyesight, because everything is all over the place. It's the same with you. You're looking at everything, but yet you see nothing. You don't see how to handle it. You don't see how to deal with it. Because you have not taken the time to sit and put things in its proper measure. And then you go into what is the natural state of life of thing to do. Complain. Then you go into complaining. Why? Because everything is out of order. Everything it's in a position to whereas you have no instruction, you have no direction, you have no clue what, and so because you can't put the pieces together, complaining is the next thing to do. And guess what happens once you start complaining? Once you start complaining, you start discouraging yourself. Once you start discouraging yourself, you give up. Once you give up, you're out the fight. Respectfully, I can say that about Dr. Harris. He stopped me before I gave up. That was challenging to me at 14 years old. That was very challenging to me at 14 years old. And the minute I was about to tell him I can't do this, the nonsense. That's not true. Why do you think we have the scripture that tells us I can do all things in Christ which strengthen me? That's Jesus saying to us nonsense. But there is an order, there's a way to go about your life to put things in a place to whereas you can do all things. And the first thing that I'm giving you the hint of life to, or the secret of life to, is to pick up the pieces and put them in order. Put the things in your life in its right perspective. And once you put them in the right perspective, then you can get instruction. And once you have received those instructions, then you can begin to deal with everything and build on it or correctly. Put it in its right order. You can put things in their perspective. From your husband or your wife to your children, to your job, to your finances, to your health, to everything. You have to put things in its rightful place. I'm going to stress that to you because many of you all don't know where to start or how to get to God. This is what he's trying to teach you. Put things in its perspective by its order. Gather the pieces of your life. Gather these pieces. Real quick, I'm going to tell you this last thing and then I'm going to go into the scripture. My mother, love her. taught me so many things in life. Wisdom. But at this point in time, I was growing up. Me and my mother were doing puzzles. We wasn't doing them little puzzles. No, my mother, she started us off with a 500 piece. Then she began to work up to the 1,000 piece. Then the 2,000. And I think when we had one so big, and what me and my mother would do, we would get this glue spray once we put them together and spray them and put them on a cardboard to stick them and make a picture of them and things like that. Me and my mother sat and we did puzzles. But guess how my mother taught me how to do the puzzles? She said, dump everything out of the box. Dump all the pieces out of the box. After you dump all the pieces out of the box, then you turn them all over to their colored side. The side that was the picture. Now here we go. 1,000 pieces. A box with an image. So you know where you're headed. You know what the goal is. You know what the goal is. But the pieces right now are not showing you that. And so what my mother would say is, take all the pieces and let's turn them over to their picture side. And we would take the pieces and we would turn them over and we would look at all of the pieces that had their specific color. And then once we get them all laid out to where, because you know it had a cardboard look on the back of it. It was as if, y'all know I'm a Star Wars fan. But this is how it would look on the back of a puzzle. But when you turn it over, you know, it had a face and things like that. So she would have us face them all up so we could see the image on it. And then my mother would say, once you've had the images up, now let's separate and find the right colors. Meaning, take all the pieces that look dissimilar in color. So if it's all dark pieces, we would take all the dark pieces and put them in a pile. Then we would take all the green pieces and put them in the red and the purple and the blue and all. We would organize the colors. Then once we have organized the colors, then she would say, now find the corner pieces. Then we would go through where we have organized, and while we organize, and if we come across a corner, here's a corner. Now you know it's 4 corners to it. So we would find the 4 corners. Excuse me, and we would look at how the 4 corners were. And then with the 4 corners, we would put them in this perspective place by looking at the picture. And looking at the picture, we would say, okay, it looks like this green one goes up here because this is where the trees is going to be. And it looked like the mountain top would be over here, so the white one would go here. And it looked like the dark brown would go down here on this forest floor, and the blue one would go down here in the water. And then we would start to find a position to say, okay, which corner are we going to start with? Are we going to start with the green one, the white one, the brown one, or the blue? And me and my mother would make a decision to say, okay, let's start here. And then we would begin to go. And it would take us some time. We would work on this puzzle for about a week or two. But before we could start, the first thing we had to do was gather the pieces, pick up the pieces, and put them in order so that we can see our way through to get to the picture. And when we finished, it was a task that we felt like we accomplished. And me and my mother would hug and high five because we completed the assignment. But the first thing we had to do was gather the pieces, put them in order, and then follow the instruction. And it didn't matter how big the puzzles were. We followed the same systematic thing for it, and it worked with every puzzle. For your life, gather the pieces, put them in order, and then begin to deal with them one by one. And when you've gotten to a place, eventually, you will work yourself into a situation where you're going to come to I got to figure this out. But when you sit there and you figure out and you look at it long enough, you'll get the answers. Let's go into this. We in Exodus, the 16th chapter. Last week I told you manna requires instruction. Manna requires instruction. The bread of life requires instruction. And this week I'm telling you, if you pick up the pieces and put them in order, you will find the instruction. We left off with 5. And I'll read that real quick. So we're in Exodus 16 chapter. Let's go into the 5th verse. It says, on the 6th day, they will gather the food. Now, this is him instructing Moses. This is the instructions. They will gather the food, and when they prepare it, there will be twice as much as usual. 6 says, so Moses and Aaron said to all the people of Israel, by evening you will realize it was the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt. In the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your complaints, which you are against him, which are against him, not against us. Let me read that clearly. In the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your complaints, which are against him, being God, and not against us. What have we done that you should complain about us? Then Moses added, the Lord will give you meat to eat in the evening and bread to satisfy you in the morning, for he has heard all of your complaints against him. What have we done? Yes, your complaints are against the Lord, not against us. Then Moses said to Aaron, announce this to the entire community of Israel. Present yourselves before the Lord, for he has heard your complaining. And as Aaron spoke to the whole community of Israel, they looked out toward the wilderness. There they could see an awesome glory of the Lord in the cloud. Then the Lord said to Moses, I have heard the Israel complaints. Now tell them, in the evening you will have meat to eat, and in the morning you will have all the bread you want. Then you will know that I am your God. That evening, the vast number of quail flew in and covered the camp. And the next morning, the area around the camp was wet with dew. When the dew evaporated, a flaky substance as fine as frost blanketed the ground. The Israelites were puzzled when they saw it. What is this? They asked each other. They had no idea what it was. And Moses said to them, it is food the Lord has given you to eat. These are the Lord's instruction. Each household should gather as much as it needs. Pick up 2 quarters for each person in your tent. So the people of Israel did as they were told. Some gathered a lot, some gathered a little, but when they measured it out, everyone had just enough. And when those gathered a lot had nothing left over, and those who gathered only a little had enough. Each family had just what it needed. Then Moses told them, do not keep any until the morning, but some of them didn't listen and kept some of it in their own mourning. But then it was full of maggots and had a terrible smell. Moses was very angry with them. After this, the people gathered the food morning by morning, each family according to its need. And as the sun became hot, the flakes they had not picked up melted and disappeared. On the 6th day, they gathered twice as much as usual, 4 quarts for each person instead of 2. Then all the leaders of the community came and asked Moses for an explanation. He told them, this is what the Lord commands. Tomorrow will be a day of complete rest, a holy Sabbath day set apart for the Lord. So bake it or boil it as much as you want today. Then set aside what is left for tomorrow. You can continue reading this, and I read that from 5 down to 22. But the reason I wanted to address that is because God was showing them that you're complaining against him. And he's answering your complaint, even though he's not the one to even complain to. But because you're complaining about your life to God, God giving you an answer. God is telling you to gather up the pieces in your life. And once you have gathered the pieces in your life, begin to put them in order. And once you have put these pieces in order, then God can begin to instruct you about how to deal with each position or place in your life so that things can become more easier. Because again, once you have gathered pieces and put them in order, as Dr. Harris told me, instructions become easier. The reason that you cannot hear God is because you don't have things put in their right perspective or order or place. And God cannot speak to you when things are not in decency and in order. Let's gather our pieces of life. Let's gather ourselves and let's put them in the right place so we can live a blessed life before God. Listen, this has been Pastor Smith of Freedom in Faith. I hope that you've enjoyed the message. And until next week, God bless you. Oh, but hey, before you leave, also like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, go over to my other channel. It's called Faith Wars. FAITHWARS. And there you will find a new season of Faith Wars being loaded up for your enjoyment, also with a message and a word in it from myself along with other pastors that are on Faith Wars channel. If you get a chance, go ahead and check it out. Until then, God bless.
Thank you for joining us on the Freedom in Faith Ministries podcast. I'm Felicia, and we hope today's message from Pastor Jadon Smith encouraged you and your family. Meet us here again next week. And remember Romans 5:2. Because of our faith, Christ has brought us into this place of undeserved freedom, where we now stand. And we confidently and joyfully look forward to sharing God's glory. Be blessed. Be blessed. Be blessed. Be blessed.